Another morning, another secluded car park in Shropshire. Richard?
Absolutely. We're getting used to these places, aren't we?
Only certain substratas of the general public get involved in this sort of thing. But so we've got had a long range forecast that looked promising that you spotted, and I think it looks like it's going to be quite interesting. So
yeah,
we've got a nice little bit of clean light coming off the horizon, plus some low-lying stuff.
and the moon's up
Yeah,
as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite exciting. And no matter how much planning we do, no matter how much we try and keep ourselves calm, when the light happens in a little while, there's going to be one of those two headless chickens on a hill.
It's one of the things you kind of hope you're organised, but actually it's kind of part of the fun, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Just being able to run around. It's quite interesting, the hope, being able to improvise as well. But I think that's one of the advantages of knowing the location.
Do you know what? There's no reason why you can't get really excited either, is there? You know, we don't have to be sensible.
No, yeah.
You can get quite excited.
You're an old man now, though, Richard, aren't you? So you shouldn't really be.
Oh yeah, but it's the meds.
Yeah. Must be great fun to kind of. If they did tours of this place, I would definitely come.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it'd be fascinating to see what's in there. It's like some Arctic research station.
Yeah.
There's definitely a horror film to be made in there, I think. That's absolutely sublime over there.
It is, isn't it? It'd be interesting to see, actually, when we get on the top, whether it's, whether there is a bit of a... Well, there certainly was where we were parked, wasn't there? There was wind coming up and out of the quarries, so we're on the sheltered side right now. Got a glow on these rocks already. Beautiful. This is kind of what I was hoping it would be like, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's a decent frost on the ground, so everything's got that proper wintry look to it.
Yeah.
But with some colour in it still, because the foliage is, even now, is just kind of an orangey gold.
Yeah. It looks like we might get that nice temperature difference between shadows and
absolutely,
and highlights, which is I think this place is really good for that, because there's so much undulation and so much topography. You're always kind of in with a shout.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a bit of, like you say, there's a bit of frost that's cooling things down anyway. It's so much less stressful when there's no crazy wind.
Well, when you find a really nice composition, and then you've got to stand and you're trying to wait for that second when the wind, you think the wind's dropped long enough to make your shot, and it isn't. I had a thought the other day, and I, around mindfulness and photography and actually other outdoor pursuits that kind of fully involve your. You puts you right in the moment, doesn't it? And I came to photography having been a hill walker for many years, and as much as I love hill walking, I still do. I think carrying a camera and stopping more and staying put in a location for longer is a really healing thing. Just passing through it all the time is great for your health, physical health, but I think you probably could ask a lot of fishermen. The reason they fish isn't necessarily for catching the fish. That's a bonus. Yeah. Same thing as making an image is a bonus. Being out and enjoying these moments.
Well, it's largely being able to make a tangible excuse for your wife as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and like sort of as an extension to that, actually kind of a loyalty to locations as well with that, and actually getting to know a location, returning back a lot of the time in favourable and non-favourable conditions.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that last time. Is you're not quite out of it. Even with locations, even especially such as this one, you're never really out of it, even when it's kind of very heavily clagged in. Or it's bright sunshine, saturated green summer weather. There's always something it always offers something.
Yeah, you might have to work harder to find it.
Yeah.
But it's. One of the reasons I suppose we spend a lot of time analysing the weather and, you know, trying to focus in on a specific moment and a set of conditions is to kind of guarantee success. But in actual fact, going with a more open mind in any conditions will guarantee success.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's blowing an absolute hooey and you just literally can't get the camera out of the bag. But, you know, again, that's part of the experience. That informs you about the location. You know, gives you a taste for how the place is when actually you probably shouldn't be there.
It's a lovely thing, that, isn't it? I love coming over the crests of hills when you and then you get to see just the magnitude of what you're involved with. You get that a lot in Snowdonia, where you just, all of this massive expanse is revealed. And that's wonderful. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. That's up
Just hills rising out. I mean, it's pretty much perfect, that is.
Yeah.
There's such a nice glow on the ground already.
Yeah.
Just doing the German deck chair thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think that boulder's going to be too dominant on the right-hand side. I like this. I like the way they kind of flow across. Then you've got this big one. So we might just roll that out of the way.
It's because it has a tendency to just stop the eye, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's in the middle.
Yeah.
Some lovely patterns with this lichen. And it's just caught the frost very nicely. Some lovely detail in the foreground here. I'll probably put a little grad on the top there, because we might get some nice colour in the sky, and I don't really want to miss that. Although exposure-wise, it does look quite similar. The foreground's frosted up. So I'm going to focus stack this, I think, just because we're very close to the foreground and we're not going to get the hyperfocal distance that we need to get the hills sharp. And one thing I've learned taking pictures of brown Clee is that if it isn't absolutely crystal sharp, tack sharp, then it really does spoil the composition. So we're going to just take a shot at f11, focused on the foreground as well. So yeah, the sun is now up. It's phenomenal. And I've got tons of condensation all over my stuff. So just getting some beautiful side light on these rocks now. I love the way the light's working on this frost. However, it's not quite caught on the top of brown Clee yet, which is really, it's putting the composition just off balance. But I think my instinct is it probably just needs a little more space. Yeah. So I'll just get this lined up. Sublime bit of light right now. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous bit of morning light. That sun is starting to really catch now. Some gorgeous, gorgeous light. Lovely things refracting off some of the frost crystals. It's really special, that is. And such a typical shot for Clee. 2-second timer, f10. Some really beautiful little detail.
Let's see if that has. Oh, it's held. I do like it when it holds. So I'm stacking it.
Oh, right.
Thomas Eaton taught me that.
Eaton.
Eaton, he told me. Stick your thumb in every photo.
Aye. It don't matter if it's digital, does it? It doesn't cost anything like film used to cost.
No. I do it on all my film shots as well.
We've really now got that, just a significant difference between foreground and foreground, because it's the light's now kissing the top of brown Clee, which just gives it that texture. Just hold your eye, just to snags your eye a bit more.
I'm happy with that one.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely long lens. Look at it down here now.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do now, because I don't. Yeah. There is one or two like these little, just catching the.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is almost certainly won't work, but I just really like that. Oop, come on, come back. These timeouts on these cameras just happen know exactly when you're about to take the shot and just time out. So yeah, we're sort of out of the realms of hyperfocal distance here. So.
Yeah.
That tilt shift that I've got now, I think it's all got tons of mould in it. But
The thing is, the tilt shift though, there's always a compromise, and working in a location like this where the hill drops away from you, you can get your foreground sharp and you can get your background sharp, but that pit where it falls into that hole is going to be really out of focus. There's nothing you can do about it, and that's where I think sometimes, I mean, there's a compromise with focus stacking, because you get, when they stack, you can get those little soft edges where the transitions are, where the software's put it together. But you could still have the valley floor sharp and these rocks sharp if you want them by stacking. And I think it's really, really tricky, because if I was here shooting large format, I'd have to stop down to f32 at least. And then of course you've got diffraction coming in, so then you're softening anyway.
what I like about that is there's no sense of scale. You could be looking at an entire island here.
Yeah.
Almost certainly it's one of those ones that will not work and will not see the light of day, but it's worth a look anyway, I think. Yeah, I'll stack those two just in case. It is a really nice thing, isn't it? It's having a second bite at the cherry.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think a lot of these kind of abstracts, long distance abstracts, they don't really depend on. They depend on direct light, but not necessarily colour, because they're quite monotonic anyway. Having said that, there is a really nice graduation on this. Oh, a nice little flock of birds just flew past then. That would have been nice. So we can categorically not recommend people come here now, because we've every composition, stomped on everything.
Yeah.
Removed every stone that's of any interest. Carved up loads of stuff. Any nice trees that were good foreground, we've chopped down. So there's absolutely no point in coming to Clee Hill whatsoever. The radars are You won't want to see them.
No point in seeing them anyway.
Nope.
It's actually, you mentioned it earlier on about returning to a place on the way when we're walking up this lane. But I don't know if you know actually. Joe Cornish brought out a book many years ago. It was a very private commission type thing that was done for the people of Great Ayton or something like that, near where he lives. And it's literally just all of his photographs of roseberry topping.
Oh, right, okay.
I'll show you the book at some point. I'll bring it. And it's just a study of the hill. What made me remember it was earlier on when we saw the shadow of Clee Hill going out into the valley.
Yeah.
He's got a shot of roseberry topping's shadow kind of piercing right out into the industrial heartland of Teesside. Wow. And it's a lovely shot, but we've just got very similar conditions this morning.
I've actually never I've never kind of seen it like that before, such a profound shadow like that. And you do get a sense of the scale of the place when you see that. It's really imposing, and that's like, it's 10 square miles of that shadow's covering.
Yeah. I'd be more than happy. If there was only one hill that you could get to, and this was it would be immensely satisfying just to come here every time.
Yeah. I sort of still feel there's a lot of this area, despite living here for 6 years. There's loads of that I haven't seen. Just to drive over the common here. There's loads of stuff over there. There's loads of interesting things over that way towards the Cordale. You've got incredible views from the summit over to Abley. I've seen loads of nice pictures of abstracts of, these kinds of mornings where you just get landmarks sticking out the top, and it's so accessible. And I mean, this without the whole astro thing as well. I mean, it's very popular with astrophotographers around here because I think it's one of those locations that has a context and a link for astrophotography because of these radars and the fact that it's kind of you're at least sort of conceptually you're communicating with outer space and you can see a Milky Way and blah blah blah, you know. And just actually coming up here just gives you a sense of scale, you know, with brown Clee. Everything's kind of flattened out, and this 360 view thing shouldn't be underestimated, I think. Just being able to see all the way to North Wales and
exactly, the whole of Wales.
Yeah,
exactly, North Wales, South Wales.
It's very wholesome, isn't it? And it's just to have this so close to home as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, we both live in fresh air. Anyway, it's so we're lucky in that respect. We haven't got to kind of drive out of a town somewhere to get somewhere like this. This is just another step closer to the wild, even though it isn't a wild place. It's heavily manipulated by my man, but it's the air, isn't it? It's just the atmosphere. I did a lecture at one of the on landscape, only one of these 15-minute pop-up lecture things on one of the on landscape conferences many years ago, and I called it the rule of fifths, which is basically, you know, about the rule of thirds. Yeah. If you divide your rear screen into a grid with five horizontal and 5 vertical lines, you can then effectively set a much higher horizon. So you've got 2 horizon lines, you've got 2 foreground, effectively thirds, and then you've got, you know, so your golden section is different as well because you've actually got multiple places to place things of interest. And I think because of the large format, I tended to always sit my horizon really high, but that was actually probably more to do with if you've got an uninteresting sky, why not just fill the whole top of the frame with a mountain and just have as little sky as possible? Yeah, you're sort of dealing with the kind of nature of Clee. You know, trying to reconcile the kind of the sort of mongrel elements of it, kind of man-made structures and left, you know, rusted ironwork that's been left, and you know, all of the sort of brutalist type of concrete things that are that is the nature of all the structures up there are brutalist, solid, great big concrete chunks, and they're all now covered in mosses and lichens and everything else. So I was talking to someone yesterday about that, the idea of, you know, what a lot of people consider to be natural landscape, you know, and especially in this country. Well, it's hardly any. Very little of it is. Even the woodlands that appear completely overgrown, and they're you know, there's hardly any woodlands that are naturally occurring. And then Clee is an example of that, but it's a case of not letting that define, not getting too concerned with the fact that it's been. But what you have got in all of these places is the wildness of the weather that's never changed, crashing into the evidence of human activity. So you've got the structures, the man-made structures on that hill that are now subject to the same, you know, weathering and climate that all the rock up there has had for thousands of years, and you can see that now being affected by it. I think that's quite interesting. You know, those bricks, if they leave them there, they will eventually get rounded off. They will get weathered, and that'll be quite interesting to see. There was a book that came out many years ago now called Developing Vision and Style. I don't know if you knew about it. I'll lend you it. It's it's kind of a light and land book actually, but anyway, and it's just kind of discussing that kind of side of things. And a lot of people, when they see one of my pictures, I recognise that as being a Richard Child's photo, and I kind of I've never thought of it that way. I've never looked at my work and gone, oh yeah, that's me, that's whatever else. But then actually you look at it and go, do you know what? There are certain recurring themes, recurring compositional themes in particular. Yeah. And that's partly dictated by the camera you use to a certain extent. You know, even I think with DSLRs or mirrorless cameras, somebody uses a Nikon compared to someone who uses a Sony will photograph slightly differently, just due to the fact that the colour's coming out slightly different, and it will inform their photography. I sort of have the raw picture, and I'll have like a range of 20 or 30 of my own presets I've kind of saved, and I'll just roll the mouse button over it and see and look at areas like foreground and see how
doing things like split toning or boosting shadows or, presets that happen to have plus 20 on the clarity, they'll reveal things in the image that there's no way I would have seen otherwise.
Yes. Yeah.
And they can make the difference between a 3 or a 4-star image. And just rolling through those and concentrating on 1/8 of the image and see how the emphasis, that's the word I was looking for. So like with my processing, that's what I'll probably work on most is gaining emphasis. I mean, you said about years ago about flipping the photo upside down, removes all the context and allows you just to concentrate on the raw composition.
Yeah.
And then, working on, even if it's little radial filters here and there, just to bring up and change emphasis in certain areas of the picture. And then you can, when your eye hits it.
Yeah, you're guiding the viewer's eye, if you can. You are, sometimes you are wanting to neutralize something that's going to draw the eye to the wrong part of the frame. But yeah, it's I've likened it to, if you've got a scene, if you can imagine you were looking at a bit of flat water with stepping stones on it, before you took your first step onto those stepping stones, you would plan your route. Then you'd be able to walk and you know which foot you were going to go off on first. And I think it's exactly the same with the eye. So if you can do it, you make an image, and then the viewer will take in the whole image, and then they will travel around the image. You don't immediately start to journey your way through it. You take it all in, and then you take a more considered stroll around with your eye. Yeah. So you need impact. You need immediate impact to catch the viewer's attention, and then you need subtlety of composition in order that viewer will then stay with the image and enjoy that journey. And I think a lot of unfortunately these days, a lot of people go with impact and don't necessarily think about, the kind of encouraging people to stay, encouraging people to carry on looking at that picture and enjoy it for 10 minutes and I think the images that work are the images that I sell regularly, that go off on people's walls, that people really enjoy, the ones that are in a flatter light maybe, that are things that you can come back to again, see something new every time.